Great. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone had a great day, despite of the little rain that we have. Um, as well, we go into roll call, but everybody, I mean, I don't know if I was supposed to name everybody, but we could see it. Lionel's here, Latoya's here, Leslie's here, Noreen, Ayana. What's this beautiful lady's name? Is it Mahia? Yeah,
Mahalia.
Mahalia. Nice name. And
Nice,
Miss
thank you.
Fraser. No problem. And we have our lovely guest, Michael, that'll be speaking today. Um, okay, I don't really have a chair report. I know one thing that I do have is Michael today that's gonna put some light to some great things that's happening in our community. Um, Another thing that I had a issue with that I test myself, that I feel like we do actually need to address is uh the help that we need when we're looking for information that has to do with, housing, our lease, etc. Um, the other day, I made a call to Canva to get some information regarding looking at my lease, my rental history. I found a clause in my rental history that needs to be looked at. So when I called this lady, she's gonna tell me, yeah, it's called 1718 tenants. That's not even a full line of numbers to call anybody. So I'm like, what is going like? So it goes and then they pass you around like a basketball. So I understand what's going on that people get discouraged, they give up because you're getting something like 7100 tenants, which is not even a full rack of numbers to even call anybody. And I found that that's sad because it happened to me like 2 days ago, and that's something that that needs to be addressed because they make it hard for people to find the assistance that they actually need when it comes to, their living situation. And that's something that I'm witnessing personally. And I feel like if I got it this way, the other people just give up. They're not going to fight for it. They're just going to let go. And then whatever happens, happens. And that's just something that I personally went through. So I'm just addressing that here. Um, Now we can go into approval of minutes. Anybody
Hi,
approve the minutes?
this is Leonie Logan, approving the minutes as submitted.
Thank you. Anyone else? I need somebody else to approve the minutes.
Someone needs to second it.
I second the minutes.
So much, guys. Okay, now I'm going to um present Michael. He's the senior project manager for the Neighborhood of House Services of NYC, and he has a presentation for us that has to do with the small scale landlord capacity building program. How you doing, Michael? And thank you
Doing
for
fine. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking.
That's good. That's good. You guys are the first community board that I'm presenting to, so I thank you for having me and for having us. And you're also on my community board. I grew up in East Flatbush on Kings Highway in Clarendon, so I feel like I'm at home with you guys. Mhm. So, Neighborhood Housing Services of New York City, most of you may know us. If you don't know us, we're an organization that has been around since 1982. We've been dedicated to the preservation of homeownership and promoting homeownership and the preservation of homeownership. And over the years, we've done that through pre-purchase counseling and rehab loans and refinancing. We've also done it through foreclosure prevention services. And as the decades have gone by, we've added, more and more programs to our menu of services. And most recently, we've added a property management component to our services, which is primarily an educational function. We have a course that we call Principles in Property Management, and it's for individuals who are considering going into the property management field and also for building owners who want to find out how to manage their property better. And so we started that last year, and we're continuing with that. We've also started a program which is really a certification program. It's the RAM certification program. And this more specifically is for real estate professionals to get the certifications that they need to keep on doing in their work. And then most recently, the project that I'm running, which I'd like to share with you all today, is the Small Scale Landlords Capacity Building Program. And what that is can I, is it okay if I share a PowerPoint presentation? It's just a few
Please.
slides. It'd be easier to go through it that way. Would
Sure.
that be okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me start sharing. Okay. So everyone, if you can still see me and hear me, I'll go over what the parameters and so the goals are of the program, and I'll go through the requirements and the benefits. And if any of you as individuals or people within your community that you know would benefit from this, we'd be more than happy for the referrals, and I have my contact information, there as well. So the Small Scale Landlord Capacity Building Program, it's a new initiative that we have, and it's for the purpose of supporting small landlords in Brooklyn. And there are requirements, and so we aren't able to work in all of Brooklyn because of the affordability requirements, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But it's a program that we're putting together with partnership with Enterprise Community Partners. Enterprise is a large, not a national not-for-profit that has been instrumental in working on affordable housing developments for decades. And they have, of course, a variety of offerings and services. And one of the things that they've done for their larger buildings is to support landlords, property managers in navigating all of the difficulties and the challenges that they face as property owners in New York City. But what's been lacking is something for smaller property owners. And so that's why we started this program. And it's for buildings that are between 2 units up to 20 units. And so what is it that we're looking to get out of this program? First of all, we want to know what are the challenges that small landlords are facing. It could be financial, it could be legal, it could be dealing with violations, dealing with rising water and sewer charges, rising real estate taxes. It could be issues like finding the right kinds of tenants or navigating the landlord-tenant process. Whatever the challenges that they are facing, that are making it difficult for them to either remain as landlords and successful landlords, or keep their rents at affordable levels. We want to know what those challenges are. And as we hear about those challenges, we NHS and Enterprise have the opportunity to first, gather information from them, and also hopefully be able to shape programs that we could roll out across all of New York City. That's one piece of what we're looking to get out of this. But we're also looking for data that perhaps we could share with elected officials to shape policies that could make it easier for small landlords. So our program requirements are, first, as I mentioned before, 2 to 20 residential units. So it could be a mixed-use property, or it could be just all residential, but 2 to 20 units. And of course, the location is the borough of Brooklyn. What we're also looking for by way of requirements is that the owners of the buildings themselves not be non-network owners. And what that means is that they're not connected to any kind of a professional real estate organization that is already giving them technical assistance. Because what we want to do over the course of the program, and the program will start in June and run through August, is to be able to measure impact. To measure the impact of giving them technical assistance and guidance, allowing them to come together and support one another as peers and share information as peers, so that we can measure the impact of this kind of a program. It makes sense for that we're not competing with, but it's easier to measure impact if they're not already receiving services through a technical organization or professional organization. And also it's important for us because, quite honestly, most small landlords, owners of 2, 3, 4 family homes, they're not really connected to any kind of a network or any kind of a professional organization. And so we want to capture those that are not already being supported and to support them through our services. And so other program requirements is affordability. And how we're defining affordability is we want for the apartments that are being rented in the buildings to be at rent levels that are affordable to individuals making 80% of New York City's area median income. And this next slide will show you what those rent levels are. So if someone is renting out a studio or 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms that fit these levels, for studio $2,268 a month, 1 bedroom $2,430 a month, 2 bedrooms $2,916, 3 bedroom $3,370. If the apartments are being rented at this level or below, then the building can participate in the program. And why we're picking, this particular affordability measure, 80% of AMI, is because we feel that not only do we want to help the landlords, manage their buildings better, but we want to help them manage their buildings better and still be able to maintain affordable levels. Just as a side note, as I've been, going through recruiting and doing research on rents in Brooklyn and in the neighborhoods, first we were looking citywide, and we decided to focus on Brooklyn. And then with this particular requirement, it automatically limited what neighborhoods we could work in. We can't work in Park Slope, Fort Greene, downtown Brooklyn. The rents are quite simply just outrageous. And so they're way above 80% of AMI. They're way above these levels. And we're even finding that within Community Board 17, it's really a mix. Some people are renting apartments that are at these levels or below, but many people are actually already renting them, renting apartments above this level. And some people in some of their buildings, like their 1 bedrooms might be affordable, but their 3 bedrooms are not, or vice versa. And so that's part of my job, is to go through and talk to the landlords that are interested and, gather their information, find out how much their rents are, and see if they qualify and fit. The affordability question is a national debate that's going on. And of course, we in New York City have been in this debate, for decades. And so we want to do everything that we can to help small landlords, but also to help tenants in finding and keeping, rents available at 80% of AMI. And it's really not an unreasonable amount of an unreasonable affordability level. It's not 50%, it's not 60%, it's 80% AMI. And if you look at these rents aren't insignificant. But of course, we are finding in other parts of Brooklyn and of course New York City that rents are exceeding this already. I made the comment to our sponsors at Enterprise that if they had waited 1 more year to start this program, even the neighborhoods that we're looking in, they might not have been able to find, rents at this level, because things are going up so quickly. So one of the other program requirements, and this is one of the major things that we are looking for from the people who would participate, is actual participation in monthly sessions starting from June of 2026 through August of 27. So it's a commitment, and what we're looking to do with these monthly meetings is one, to give them the opportunity to learn about different aspects of managing their properties, better. We'll have a variety of topics over these 15 months, but also to give them the opportunity as building owners to share some of their horror stories and success stories and talk about their challenges with one another. And in that way, helping themselves as they develop a network amongst themselves. Just as a side note, we've already seen some of this take place because I've done a number of informational sessions for people who have called in or sent emails. And in one of the sessions last week, I was amazed because one of the individuals that's interested in the program, she shared something with the rest of the other landlords, that there is a leak forgiveness program through the DEP. And I had never even heard of it. She said they keep it very quiet and there's a whole bunch of different regulations, but she was able to take advantage of that in the past. Well, that is exactly what we're looking for in trying to build a cohort of 20 building owners to participate in this, that they not only would be learning from us as the real estate professionals, but they would be learning from one another as well. And so it's really important for the participants to not just sit online and listen or come to a classroom and sit down and just take notes, but also to be engaged, to share, to be open, and to listen, to ask questions and to answer questions. That's a very important piece of what we're looking for. So those are the requirements. Of course, location, the number of units, 2 to 20, location Brooklyn, participating in the convenings is a very important piece of it. And now I'd like to talk about the benefits of the program. So one of the things that we'll be doing fairly early in the process, once we gather all 20 individuals, 20 buildings into it, we'll be doing a high-level physical needs assessment of the property. And so what that means is we'd be taking a look at all the building systems, electrical, heating, plumbing, the roof systems, windows, looking at everything and preparing a report that would provide the homeowner with, or the building owner with a list of items that they would need to work on and in a priority and prioritize them. And so the report may say, well, you need to repair your roof and do so in the next 6 months. It's the most critical issue that you have going on. And you have some other issues going on, but perhaps you could wait for those. And then once we have that kind of an assessment, identifying things that need to be physically taken care of in the building, then we can begin to start associating costs to that, and then helping them, identify the right kind of financing, or if there's grants available, but finding out ways to finance making those kinds of repairs, and all with the goal of helping them manage their properties better. And so that is one of the first things that we're looking to do. And we have consultants that we would be hiring that would go on out and would visit the property and do assessments and analysis of the systems, and then put together a report for the homeowner and also for us as well. And then we would be using that to guide them through, making those repairs or scheduling those repairs and financing, those repairs. One of the other things we'll be doing through our technical assistance, we'll be giving them up to 15 hours, and I know it's going to be more than 15 hours per person, but 15 hours of technical assistance across a variety of areas. So I mentioned already building repair, where you can also do some financial planning. NHS of New York City has in-house insurance counselors. We also have in-house foreclosure prevention counselors, and we have close relationships with organizations that do tenant counseling as well, because one of the goals, as I mentioned before, is maintaining affordability. And so if one of the landlords, for example, have someone who is in rental arrears, the landlord themselves may not know that there are resources out there for their tenant to get those arrears paid, and the tenants may not know that as well. So as they come into the program and as we evaluate what's going on with them, we want to be able to provide the tenants and the landlords with eviction prevention services as well. And with regards to insurance review, we have an in-house insurance and resiliency counselor. And what he does is he takes a look at homeowners' policies, insurance policies, and flood policies to make sure that, one, there's adequate coverage. And if there's not adequate coverage, he will make recommendations for the right kinds of coverage. Also, if there is adequate coverage, we'll also take a look to see if if the premiums are reasonable. And so sometimes people have the right coverage, but they're paying more than they should. And so he can make recommendations on that. And then another third scenario that often comes up is people have more coverage than they need given what their risk factors are, which means that they're paying for more insurance than they should. And so one of our goals, and one of my goals is in helping each of these individuals, is to see to it that we try to bring down their maintenance and operating expenses as property owners. And if they're able to do that, then there's less pressure on them to raise the rent and to put that rent to a level that's not affordable for someone who's at 80% of AMI. Additional benefits, we mentioned we're going to try to help them with their use of technology and their practices in terms of rent collection, and even also selecting the right kinds of tenants. A lot of times problems arise because landlords don't know the right way to review someone's credit or to find the right kind of tenants given their work history or their credit history and their savings patterns. And so we want to fine tune their skills so that down the road they will make better rental decisions as they're selecting people. So these are parts of the things that we're looking to do. And as I mentioned before, the cohort going to the monthly cohorts and participating in monthly cohorts is not only a requirement, but is also a benefit. We know that the landlords are going to get a lot out of the things they're going to learn from us and from Enterprise, and also from one another. And so it's one of the major benefits of going through the program are the monthly cohorts. And so Our application process is very simple. Individuals can email me or call me, and I'll have my contact information as the last slide, the next slide. Once I go through an evaluation with them, I'm asking them, where the property is and what their rents are, and if the rents are, fitting the affordability levels, then I'll send them an application. They can fill it out, send it back to me, and then get registered in the program. And then after that, there would come, information about the convenings and when we'd be meeting and all of those logistics. But that's basically the process. Again, it's designed, it's free, it's a free service to the landlords. We're not charging them anything. The only cost, so to speak, is making sure that they are participating and they're being engaged in the discussions that we'll be having on a monthly basis. That's the most important thing, for us. So I'm going to put my contact information up there, my title, my email address, and my phone number. Of course, I've shared that also with the community board, so you guys can send it out. What I can do, we've done and redone our flyers a couple of times. So what I can do after this meeting, I can send it out again so that you can have it and distribute it, however is necessary. When I was at the last community board meeting, I had dropped off some flyers, but we've redone the flyer. So I'll share that as well. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, I'm available to answer them.
Thank you so much, Michael. Simone has a question. Simone, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. It's not so
You're
much a question. Oh, thank you. It's not so much as a question. This is extremely helpful. And I'm not sure if you're aware that, so I work in housing, and every city agency every other week has an opportunity for building owners to come down to, 350 J Street. If you go down there, if you get a violation, if you have any issues with your building, the Department of Buildings, HPD, DEP will answer any of your questions in terms of building violations, permits, anything along those lines. In addition, DEP, in addition to the leak notification, they have a leak notification program, but also the leak forgiveness. But they also have another program where, depending on, actually, the size of your building, you could enter into something called balance billing. So no matter how much water your tenants use, you're paying the same amount for supplying water to that building.
Okay. That's excellent, because that allows the landlord to control his or her expenses.
Exactly. So you usually find it where a tenant may be intentionally running the water. And so it's calculated with DEP will say, okay, you have 20 units. Out of 20 units, you only have one bathroom sink, you only have one tub, and you have one kitchen sink. And so they kind of estimate, okay, this is what you should be, this is what this apartment should normally use. When they see it's like running throughout the day. And that's with the leak notification. So I had a pipe that burst during the winter. And so I get a notification from DEP telling me, you have a leak. We're notifying you for you to do something about it. And so I was able to go into the basement and find out where the leak was. But it helps, you're right, it helps you to kind of figure out your estimate how much you're going to be paying in water bills.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's the kind of information that we want to be able to bring, to the landlords, because also there's a lot of things that we learn as professionals, but then, the city, has changes and updates and new initiatives. And so it's a matter of keeping on top of those things so we can keep our information fresh. So definitely thank you for sharing that. We will be looking into that. Maybe, and we have coming up internally, we actually have a session where we're going to try to finalize what our topics are going to be. And I'm beginning to sense, just based on what you were sharing, like if we could bring in, either if it's virtually, someone from the city that could go through all these different programs and new changes for the landlords, I think that would really, really help.
I would say the first, absolutely, and the ones that landlords are more afraid of is the Department of Buildings. Because
Oh.
they could really, I mean, they could really jam you up. I mean, and they don't understand anything other than this is a violation and you're fixing it.
Yeah.
And so
We've participated with some Department of Buildings events last year, similar, so people could come in and find out what's going on and see how they could get out of it, resolve it. And I remember I, naively asked the representative from the Department of Buildings, I said, if someone has, violations and they're like, the financial penalties is 20,000 or what have you, or, the Department of Buildings work on like payment plan. And before it could even come out of my mouth, she says, no. They don't do plans. She didn't even let the word, because I didn't think she knew what was coming. She said, we do not do payment plans. And I was like, what does someone do if you owe $20,000 to the Department of Buildings? Like, how can that put someone out of business?
they don't care. Their position is, that's it. That is it. You figure out whatever the issue is, but they're adamant about getting their money. They're not interested in settlement. They're interested in just making sure that their violation, whatever it is taken care of and that they get their money.
Yeah. Well, maybe something, if it comes out in our research, maybe that's something we can, present to the city as a new administration. You never know. Say, hey, listen, if there could be some kind of flexibility on at least, entering into payment plans. We're not talking about removing the violation, but just a payment plan. That would be, be helpful. And then the city would make more money that way, because people will just not deal with things because they don't have $20,000 or $15,000 to pay for a violation. I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not like, we're not talking about deed theft. So I'm not sure if that's on your table or like your plan to talk about, but it's almost a precursor to it. Because when you read the stories about deed theft, it usually starts off with the owners needing money, usually for repairs. They're not, taking out money to go shopping. They're usually using it for repairs. Then they either don't understand or have difficulty understanding the repayment option or the repayment plan. And somehow someone, because if you go down to the Department of Buildings, I'll just tell you during the day, you just see, I'll just say people scouring to see who owes money and kind of figuring out who to actually go and knock on the door. And so next thing you know, someone pops up on your door. I could help you with your, if you're having problems with the money you've taken out to make repairs. Next thing you know, you sign papers and then somehow your ownership of your home is in jeopardy. So it seems like it's a long stretch to make the link from repairs to deed theft, but it's all in the same vein.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. So, like I said, I will send out information to the community board, and you have the flyers and more information on the program, and you guys can distribute it to your networks and to your people. That would be very, very helpful for us.
Thank you so much, Michael. If anybody have any, our young lady has a question, I guess. You can go ahead.
Hi, sorry about that. Hi, my name is Mahalia. I'm with Little Haiti BK. We're part of like a nonprofit organization that specializes in small businesses and community outreach. And we populate mostly in Community Ward 17 and some Community Ward 14. And we have a lot of property owners who are small property owners, but they're mixed use. Does your services apply to that as well? Small mixed use property owners that may have like a mom and pop shop on their bottom floor and a 2-story building.
Yes, so long as they have at least 2 units, we would take them in. At least 2 residential units, yes. So if it's a storefront with 2 or 3 apartments above, yes.
Okay, perfect.
And it doesn't have to be owner occupied or anything like that either. We have some of our people there, investors. And when I mean investors, they no longer live in the property, but they have everything rented out, so that's fine. Oh yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you, Michael, for this information. And yes, send it over, please. So Miss Frazier could blast it out. And I hope that you can come to our next board meeting, community board meeting coming up. That'd be great.
Yes. What was the date on the next one?
It's every third
20th, the 20th,
20th.
Monday the 20th. Okay, yes.
Wednesday,
Oh,
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday the
Mhm.
20th, yes. That would be fine.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll send you the information so you have that.
Thank you, Marie.
No problem. Any unfinished business, guys? Okay. Any new business?
Unfinished business, I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring the committee up to date regarding the shower bus.
Mm.
Paperwork with the bank and the Department of Finance has been completed. I'm actually waiting, the comptroller also gave their approval for us to move forward with the opening of a bank account at Chase. All the information was submitted to Chase Bank, and I am now waiting on Chase Bank to get back to me. Once the bank gets back to me, I have to go back on the federal site and complete the registration process, and only then can we start having a conversation with HUD and the committee to discuss how we're going to move forward. Next steps. More than likely, I am hoping that I hear from the bank this week or at least next week. I would really be feel comfortable completing this process before we go on recess, because once June is our last meeting, and then the board goes on recess for July and August. We resume meetings in September, and I would prefer to at least complete the registration process before we go on to recess, because the meetings that we need to have um, with HUD, those meetings are actually outside of this committee. But allowing the committee to be a part of it and to know that the process is completed, and at least we will be discussing over the summer how we're going to move forward, so that when we resume in September, we have quite an update to share with this committee. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully the registration process can be completed. And July and August, we dedicate a lot of our time to moving the process forward. We may need a conduit, is something that we talked about, bringing in another organization. I am not sure how we're going to move forward with that, but there's a lot to be done before we could actually get this bus. We do have an organization, the God Squad, that they went through this process before, so they're pretty much knowledgeable of it and willing to work with us and give us some guidance on how to move forward. So I just want to give you this, a concise update today, and hopefully I have more information for you at our meeting next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. The God Squad is actually perfect. I have a partnership with them. They're very, very helpful. So that would definitely be great. Any new business? Okay, okay, motion to adjourn.
I guess no one wants to leave. So why
I
not
know.
continue?
I guess everybody want to stay.
I want to talk first. Leonie Logan, motion to adjourn. It is
8:11.
8:11.
Anyone wants a second? because I still have to
second the
be on the clock.
motion.
I have a ton of work to do here.
I second the
Come on,
motion.
Sylvester, second the motion.
Okay.
Well, thank you all, and I hope that everyone is looking forward to a great summer. I didn't hear Miss Marie mention anything in terms of if the association have any plans as you move forward or you move into the summer, but I guess you will do that next month,
Yeah,
I'm
next month.
assuming.
Yes, next month.
Yes.
'Cause I should even
Okay.
have updates on my, what I want to completely do for the summer as well, and see what you guys have on the table for the summer. Yes.
I guess
Um,
everyone coming back with a suggestion, maybe. I don't
yes,
know.
next one, please, guys. Because I really want to start getting. I told them in a Monday meeting I'm gonna hit up everybody from the Block Association, but any events that's coming up, that we all need to support or I can support, let me know. And then there's events that I want to do. I think I'm going to speak to Michael to put an event together for, small business owners as well, like building owners. So yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for getting on the call and I really appreciate your time. See you guys next month and May 20th, whoever's coming.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Good night.
Good
Happy
night,
Mother's Day.
everyone. All ladies, happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to you,
Thank
ladies.
you. All the mothers on the line, happy Mother's Day. Have a blessed evening. Good night.
Night.